Richard Turner.
Richard Turner.
And looking with both eyes, I couldn't see how he did it.
Richard Turner, he does things that nobody else in the world can do with cards. Nobody.
I don't call myself blind because I see things in ways that other people can't see.
He's in the Hall of Fame at the Magic Castle.
Don't let anyone tell you there's anything you can't do.
All right, Shark, I'm going to start off with, can you tell us about an elementary school card shark in your 2-inch red bullet? Intriguing sounding.
Yes, I loved old westerns.
So do I.
And did you too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd watch these old westerns, Bonanza, particularly Maverick, who was this slick, cool gambler, and I wanted to be a slick, cool gambler. So I would watch an episode, and then afterwards, I would take my cards and I would sit on the floor and I would deal out hand after hand of draw poker, and I would figure the odds.
Yeah.
And then I noticed if I dealt myself one extra card, I'd win 20% more often.
Oh, so you just figured this out without any books or anything?
No,
just
they didn't have books. They didn't have books. I didn't even know what I was figuring out. I was just playing and analyze. After I would do that, I would then take and stack the deck for 4 aces, and then I would deal them out of this little, one of those little 3-foot wide little card tables.
Right.
And I'd play a game, and then the bad guy would have the 4 aces. I'd accuse him of cheating. I'd roll out of my chair, and I always had my gun with my 2-inch long red bullet, and I'd roll out of my chair, and bam, I'd fire the on the
These
bad
are all
guy.
fictitious people you're playing with.
All fictitious people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'd set up my own little card games and have my own little scenarios play out.
That would be fun.
Yeah, and like I said, I would sit there and play game after game, just trying to figure out the odds.
Right.
And then, I realized if I dealt myself one extra card, I'd win 20% more often. And this is a 7, 8, 9-year-old kid doing this during that time period.
Wow.
So what I would do is when I would play the poker, I would, you're cheesy, and I never got caught with this.
Yeah.
I would I'd go around the table like this.
Yeah.
I would start with me and end with me.
Yeah.
So I ended up with one extra card, and that little discrepancy, no one ever called me on it, not one time. And of course, we're kids.
Yeah.
But if I started with myself and ended with myself, I ended up with 6 cards, they had 5. Now, most people, there wasn't a lot of poker players back then.
Right.
So, that was kind of limited, but that's what I do with the poker. And of course, next door, they play poker a lot next door neighbors. And we and my sisters, we do the same.
So
in fact, we actually play massage poker. We'd play
What the
for
heck is
massage.
that?
That means you'd have a 30-second ante, and then you'd play, and at the end of each hand, you can bet from 15 seconds up to a minute. After each hand, you had to give the other person a massage wherever they wanted. And maybe that was 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and the person that's getting the massage would count it, and you'd play another hand, you'd give another massage. We called it massage poker.
That's funny.
And in fact, Kim, that was one of the first things I did with my present wife was playing massage poker with her. Yeah, it was nice.
That's a good person to play it with.
No, you bet that. You got that right. Anyway, the game we played most was called I Doubt It. Nowadays, they have a new name for it called BS, except they don't use the initials. And what it was, and everybody played I Doubt It. And what you do is you'd go around, and everyone would have 7 cards.
Right.
And the idea was to get rid of your cards first. So what I would do is I would say 2 kings. I lay them down, but I actually had 2 other cards under there. But the 2 cards on top would be the 2 kings. And if they said, I doubt it, or BS, and that's the kings, then they had to take those cards and put it in their stack. And whoever got rid of their cards first was the winner. So that's what I do. And in draw poker, how I got rid of my extra card is during the draw. I'd say, okay, I want 3 cards. I'd throw away 4.
Right.
I'd throw the extra one away. So that's how I just played that one extra card. And the discard is how I would get rid of it. And so I was always coming out ahead, and all through school, all the way from elementary school, junior high, and high. People say, we know you're cheating. We just can't figure out how because I wasn't discreet. I had to win every hand. And so I wasn't discreet at all.
Not the best for
not the
real
best,
world cheating purposes. So you've been suffering from PCOCD since you were a kid, playing card obsessive compulsive disorder.
That is me.
But It worked out. How about this? I'd like to hear about the three-legged rats and how much money you won. This sounds great.
Well, I was a little boy, little miniature card hustler, and I'd go to swap meets and garage sales and things like that, and I would try to trick them into
giving you this stuff.
into playing cards or do a cut and high card. I had this circus trick.
Yeah.
And there's an old con, everybody knows it. You'd have them take a card, and then you'd start laying them out, and you'll say, I'll bet you $1.
Right.
Back then a penny. The next card I turn over is yours, and you pass their card because you had a key card. You knew the next one was theirs, and I bet you the next card.
A key card.
Uh-huh.
Do people who are watching this know what that is? Is it a secret?
Well, I can tell them.
I know what it is.
I know you know what it is.
Yeah.
Me too. Should we tell them? Nah, what the heck? It
We
means
can never
really what it was is as the card went by, we knew one of the cards, we knew the next card was going to be their card. And that was your key card.
Yeah.
And so that would tell me that was their card, and that you just pass it on by, and then you go, I bet you $5. The next card I turn over is yours.
I know
you
this
don't say
one.
this card, you say the next card.
Yeah.
And you're like this, just anxiously waiting to turn it over. As soon as they take the bet, you reach down, flip over that one on the table, and you go, was that your card? And they say, yes, that was the next one I called over. Give me that penny. Give me that penny. Yeah, tricky Ricky. And what was the other thing that you asked about?
I was asking also about the three-legged rats.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So at swap meets and all, everywhere I went, I had to try to trick them either in a hand of poker or in playing one of these silly games.
Right.
I'm sorry, I was obnoxious. I couldn't resist.
At least you've calmed down by now.
Some people would disagree with that, but I have calmed down as far as the old little rascal hustling.
Right.
But and anyway, so I've won a snake. I've won candy and Cokes, and one time I was at a swap meet and I got 10 cents off the price of a three-legged rat. It was 25 cents. I got it for 15 cents.
I hope this wasn't the rat you made the sandwiches with from the prior episode.
I would have got gypped. 3 legs.
Yeah, hello. What kind of sandwich is that?
Yeah, 3-legged rat. I really should have got 25% off because I only got 3 legs instead of 4.
That's worse than a dirty rat.
That's worse than a dirty rat. When I really analyzed it, I really got gypped. I should have got more than just 10 cents off the price of that rat. I should have got 25% off that price of that rat.
No kidding.
But the funny thing was when I didn't want the kids, when I'd win their Coke,
Yeah.
they'd want to sip. So I'd say, let me get rid of my germs. I'd put the Coke under my armpit and I'd go like this, twist it. Okay, and after I did that,
They wouldn't want it.
They didn't want to drink
got
it.
a free
And then
Coke.
they wanted a bite of my candy. I said, don't worry, I washed before I went.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So they didn't. They didn't want sips of my Coke, and they didn't want bites of my candy.
That shark.
That shark. He's
No
such a
one's
rascal.
going to get his candy or Coke. Now, how would you scam the typing test?
I was in a special facility, Carlton Hills, for the visually impaired. And it had a VH room, stood for visually handicapped. And Mr. Ed Bryan, wonderful man, he ran the VH department. And, he taught us typing. What was your question is about my typing scam. And I came up with the mother of all scams.
What's that?
Back then we had, we didn't even have electric typewriters. We had the old keyboards, and you had to put 2 pieces of paper in to protect the cartridge.
Right.
And one of the pieces of paper was a used paper. Usually it had writing or typing on one side.
Right.
It was trash paper. So to protect the cartridge, you'd put 2 pieces in. And so I told my dad, I said, Dad, will you give me $1 for every word I exceed my typing score? And he was always there to encourage us to excel. I have to say, my dad was a wonderful, wonderful man, just always there. And so he agreed to it. And $1, mass fortune back then.
Oh, yeah.
A nickel to me was a lot of money.
Can you get with $1?
Oh, golly, that's 20 times my normal con of a nickel or penny bet. So he agreed, and then I even told Mr. Bryan, I said, Mr. Bryan, will you give me $1 for each word I exceed my score? And he saw that I was stuck at 40 words a minute. So he said, okay, I'll do it one time.
What a nice guy.
And so what I would do is we actually memorized our thing. How, and in fact, I still tell you the first run, and this is 55, 60 years ago. How I feel about this work means much to me.
Yeah.
We type the same darn thing.
Yeah.
So I would calculate 2 words past 40. So I only want 2 words.
Yeah.
And so I calculate 42 words is right here. So what he would do is he would have a test run. So I put my papers in. What I did is I reversed the papers.
What?
I'm typing on the piece. I took here's the piece that has the writing on. This is a total blank on both sides.
Yeah.
So I put the writing back to back with the blank piece.
Yeah.
And so I'd put them in this way, so when it goes through the cartridge, I'm actually typing on the back of the piece of paper that already has writing on, the junk piece.
You cheated on the paper.
No, well, no. Actually, let me back that up.
Yeah.
I'm doing it the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm typing on the good piece.
Oh.
Okay, I'm typing on the good piece.
Yeah.
Okay, I put them in backward. I'm typing on the good piece, but you can't tell because they're back to back.
Right.
So now he'd always give us a test run. You had to do it within 1 minute. How many words in that minute?
Yeah.
So he'd say go. He'd have a stopwatch, and then I would go, and when I'd get to that 40th word, he would say time. Usually, and maybe I was at 39 or 38 or whatever.
Right.
He'd say time, but I would keep typing till I hit that word that hit 42.
Yeah.
2 words passed. But because it was a test run, he never gave me any trouble. And then I would take, and now I put the paper in the way I was describing, back to back. Now I'm typing on the back of the used piece, okay? And now he would say, go, and when he said stop, I stopped on a dime because this is, the other one was practice, this is the real one.
Yeah.
Then when I took my papers out, I reversed them and I turned in my practice sheet, which was perfect, 2 words over because I was methodical and I kept on going. He paid up the first time, but I went from 40 words a minute to 52 words a minute, which means I made a full 12 buckaroos from my kind kind dad. And that was, I thought, one of my cleverer of my scams as a little kid.
I definitely wouldn't have thought of that. I just ate dirt as a kid. That's the most advanced thing I did.
Well, I was a dirty typer.
A dirty typer.
Dirty typer.
Now, Art says that your skinny arms came in handy for candy. How did you do that with candy?
Well, Art's dad owned the corner gas station. We lived on Naranka, on the corner of 2nd Street in Naranka was his gas station. And back then, the poor people owned gas stations.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were the poor people owned gas stations because I don't know why. There were 3 gas stations on every corner. And I had 2 friends that owned gas stations and they were poor. Anyway, so Art, his dad owned the gas station, but I was skinny as an olive oil on Popeye. I did not have Popeye on.
Skinny.
I was skinny, but I was so skinny. They had different quality vending machines.
Yeah.
There was this one set that you put a dime in and you pushed it mechanically, and a candy would fall out. And the slot was about that wide.
Yeah.
My arms were so skinny, I could literally push my hand up, go up here, and finger out a candy bar, and then take it.
And I always tried that as a kid. I could never do it.
That's the difference between skinny and not skinny.
That's right.
And so that was one of the things I did. But the other one I thought was even clever. I always carried a cup and a bottle opener. And back then they had the Cokes. Remember, they had them on racks like this sideways.
Right.
All lighted up. I would just take my cup, take my bottle opener, pop the thing, and let it just pour into my cup, and then have the other one for Art.
Yeah.
And we'd fill up our cups.
Nice.
And so we always had snacks and cold Coke without paying a dime.
I would hate to be the person who got a Coke next and got the empty can.
The empty bottle. They were bottles.
The empty bottle.
Yeah, they were bottles with the, they go, what's going on here? This one's empty. This one's empty. Why, there's not one with a cap on there.
These people are filling this with empty bottles. I'm going to complain.
What a bunch of
They probably never thought that a kid would do that.
Yeah, I thought, and the thing is, they were all over the place. Yeah, but anyway, I thought that was another kind of clever one for a little rascal. I was a rascal.
Shark, you have a friend named Jim Bowers. Why would he stop playing cards with you?
Jim Blowers was my bud since beginning of high school. One time he was in a accident where part of his finger was cut off. And so he got a $5,000 settlement from the insurance company. Hey, money from Jimmy Bud. I'd always, of course, I did this with everybody.
Yeah.
I said, let's play a little heads-up poker. Everybody can tell you, growing up, I always wanted to play poker. And I would play, and of course, I'd win and win. I was taking more and more and more of his $5,000, and finally he said, Mr. Rick, I'm not playing another hand with you. Don't ask me again. He finally had enough and said, forget it. So he learned his lesson. It took him a few hands and a few dollars, but he won't play with me for nothing. Poker.
Right, poker.
Poker, yes.
Now, after practicing on Jim, was the shark ready to bite a few druggies?
Yes. Jim's brother, Bob, the same one that had the bag of dog food we talked about in another episode, there were these druggies in the East Mountains. I won't say what city in the mountains. And they had a poker game. And so I went with him to play, and I had no problem whipping druggies because I just didn't like drug dealers, because I had 24 friends at that time that died of either accident, suicide, hepatitis, overdose,
24?
or murder. Yeah.
How old were you?
Well, this is in the, well, when I was a bad boy was between probably 13 to 16. 16 is when I
25 of your friends died.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Billy Combs, heroin overdose.
Yeah.
Just went on down the line.
Wow.
I enter the game, and of course, I'm having to look at the cards. I would look at them like this, because I only could see out the corner of one eye or the other, so I could never get the summation of two eyes together. And my eye doctor would say, singularly, it was 20 over 600. The summation of the two eyes together would be over 20 over 400, which is twice as low as legally blind, but because that was only out of the corner of the eyes, I could not bring them together to equal a greater whole. So I was either looking like, I usually, with cards, I usually looked out of the corner here, and I could determine what they are. And I had my tricks. A 9 looks like an H, 6 looks like 3, a 5 looks like a domino. The ones I had problems with is 7s and 8s. And there were times I lost a lot of money because I thought I had 3 7s, and it turns out I would pay 3 7s or 3 8s, and I thought I had 3 8s, and I had 3 7s, and I would lose because, or I would mistake a 7 for an 8, thought I had a full house, and missed on that. But that was the ones that I had the trouble with, and some of the face cards were tricky also. But so I'm playing with these guys, and I made a few dollars. I kind of cleaned up, and then word got back to Jim that the head drug dealer, his girlfriend, standing behind, told her boyfriend that the guy that looked at the cards really close, she said, I think he was cheating because she would see me shift the cut. The hardest part was after the deck was cut, I would shift it. I would shift it at the edge of the table here. In other words, uncut the deck. I'll do it real exaggerated. I'd shift the cards on the edge of the table. That was always the riskiest part, was uncutting the deck. And because she was behind, she caught that, because she told her boyfriend that the guy that looked at the cards real close, it looked like he was flipping the cards around the table from behind the table. And Jim said, Mr. Rick, is that true that you were cheating him? And I said, nope, I flat out denied it. I denied it. And guess what? I denied it. It was 40 years later that I finally admitted to Jim. Yeah, Jim, you were right. I did cheat those guys. But I have to say, well, there was 2 reasons. First of all, I had a hard time with drug dealers because of a guy that tried to kill me with a hot shot. And the other was, there's an excitement, an adrenaline rush that comes from the thrill of trying to get away with a move under fire. It's like getting in the karate ring. It's one thing practicing technique, but it's another thing to find out if it works against a real opponent that's swinging back and hitting. So there's 2 different things, and there's an adrenaline rush that comes from trying it under fire when you could potentially be picked up and have the tar beat out of you.
To say the least.
To say the least, yes.
Now, I'd like to hear about cracking gym lockers. This sounds like a good one.
Yep. I was, like I said, until I was 16, I was a rascal. And so and you have to admit, I cleaned up pretty early. 16's not bad. But I was in what was called adaptive PE. That was for the people that are blind and visually impaired. We had our own class, our own class, and Coach Wolf would have us with a 25-pound to 5-gallon buckets of cement with a pole in it, and we'd have to do different exercises. Anything, just something. He'd make us do something. But because we're in adaptive PE, so we're first in line at lunch, we were dismissed 15 minutes early. We had combination locks back then. And I had a nice little touch. And I loved sitting there playing with those combinations and cracking those locks. And I got some of those locks I could crack within 7 to 10 seconds. Others might take me 2 or 3 minutes to crack.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
And here's the funny thing. I'm in the
and
back.
This is other people's locks.
Other people's locks.
This is not your lock. You already knew you could do that.
And I gave them a little 5-figure discount on their change.
Oh, that's
a 5-figure discount.
very nice.
Yeah, so yeah,
It's very nice for a card cheat.
It just weighs down their pocket.
You weren't such a little rascal after all.
I was doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Who wants noise rattling in their pocket?
I know, that's annoying.
It's very annoying. So I was doing them a little favor by relieving them of that burden. Suckers have no business with money anyway.
You were doing the Lord's work.
I was doing, in a sense.
Yes.
He may disagree with that. In fact, I think he did disagree with that. But anyway, so just so you understand how those lockers were set up, they were set up like this. Rows of lockers, people on both sides, and they're rows.
Gotcha.
And over here is a two-story the gym. And the second story is they had this big window where the coaches would be able to look out and be able to see across everything. And because everything lined up like this, they could see down each row, except for the end, because it's over here. And Coach Wynn is out there talking to the class going, they say these locks can be cracked open. They cannot be cracked open. If you're missing stuff from your locker, it's because you did not lock your locker. I'm telling you to lock your lock. And then at that very moment...
You were just smiling.
No, I was more than smiling. I was back here in the corner, literally cracking the lock at the very moment he's telling these people the locks can't be cracked. I so badly want to say, hey, Coach, come over here and let me show you what can't be done.
I'm sure that would have been a good idea.
Yeah, that would have been. Anyway, it was such a temptation, but instead I just continued to do business.
Sounds like the shark was doing what he usually does.
Yes.
Now, as you travel with the Lambs players, was the shark being a card shark, even with his fellow thespians?
Yeah, I have to admit, because wherever I went, I had to play because it was a thrill, like I said a few minutes ago. It was a thrill. And there was Glenn, Randy, Ken, we all played poker. And we're on these long bus rides, and we had a table in our bus, and with benches and table, and so we'd play cards to kill time. And I have to say that I did certain moves. I was constantly learning new moves, new ideas. And now we're telling stories back in my early years, mind you. I mean, probably 19 and under, everything we're talking about. And some of them 7, 8, 9, 13, 14 when I was doing the lock cracking. And so we're talking about 18, 19 years old, sitting there playing cards and doing business. But I would feel guilty about taking money from my friends. So guess what I would do?
What?
I'd cheat it right back. So I cheated the money from them, and then I cheat it right back.
That's pretty funny.
And then Glenn, who was one of the directors, he actually wrote years later, he said, yeah, of course Richard cheated, but in long term he made sure we all broke even. So
he was a good cheat.
I was a good cheat. I made sure everybody broke even.
Very good of you. How about, can you tell us about taking a bite out of the card counter, Bobby Singer?
Oh, this was a fun story.
I've heard of this. Wasn't he in a movie? Bobby Singer?
Well, there was a movie made about card counters.
Got it, okay.
Yes. He was a card counter, and he was kind of in the forefront of this. This was 1984.
1984.
Okay, and there was a woman named Ashley Garner, and she had a TV show called Weekend Magazine, and I was on her show a couple times. And this is when I was the entertainment on the riverboat. So she came up to me and says, Richard, we want you to help us with a little mischief, a little scam.
Ooh, that
she said, we booked this guy named Bobby Singer.
Oh, no.
He's a card counter, and he claims his system he could always win.
Oh, no.
And my producer and I, we thought, we're just the perfect show to create a little mischief. Would you come in and be the dealer for the segment?
This makes me think of the verse, Pride Before the Fall.
Oh,
Bobby Singer.
Bobby Singer going
Singer
down.
going down.
So she said, we'll put you in a gambler outfit and we'll tell him that you're just part of our staff, that we dressed up like a gambler and we want him to demonstrate. He really was only going on the show. He just wanted to do an interview for promotions for his card counting seminar. And so we get in the studio and we have everything all scripted out. What I was going to do, it was Bobby Singer, Ashley, me at the table. And my job was to make her win, make him lose. And so we had chips, full table, and I looked like I was dressed like a gambler. And because I was afraid he might recognize me, my contract was just coming up. So I let my hair grow out a little bit. So I looked a little bit different from what people were normally, what I normally look like. So I have a little bit longer hair, and so we're playing, and we're betting money. He's keeping the count, telling her how much to bet. I deal her 20, I bust him, I deal myself 19, pay her, take his money. Deal another round, blackjack to her, bust him, she wins again. Round and around, we kept going round and round. She kept winning, and she kept going, I want to bet more. And Bobby would go, she said, I feel good. And he would go, the cards don't know how you're feeling. He'd literally push her money back, and she'd push it forward, but I feel so good. And he'd go, the cards don't care, and he'd push it back. I'd deal her another winner. And bust him again. And she goes, but now I'm really feeling good. The cards don't care how you're feeling. And he'd push it forward, winner, bust, bust. And 20, bust, 19. Just enough to give her the money, take his money. And then finally, at one point, I dealt him a pair of 8s. And he goes, now here, you always split aces and 8s. He was excited. He said, watch. I'll take this bust hand of 16, either win both hands, or at best I'll win one, taking that bust hand of 16 and breaking even. Okay, guess what I do? You can only guess.
I have an idea.
So he splits his 8s, and I bust him on both of them. Now he's really pissed, and he's sweat starting to pour. And I went down there with my karate master, John Douglas. He's actually sitting in the sound booth with Bobby Singer's wife, Judy. And he is just smiling, watching all this going down because he knows what's going on. And Bobby's sitting there, his sweat's pouring. He's supposed to be this expert card counter, and he hasn't won a single hand. She keeps winning, and I took all his money. So Bobby wants to show a fresh start. So he literally grabbed the cards out of my hand, started shuffling them, and I can tell. I was looking out of the corner of my eye, and I could tell what he was up to. He was doing an old-fashioned overhand stack. And then he slapped the deck back. He puts out a big bet, and he says, now deal. And I knew what he did. So guess what I did? With using those little magic seconds, I reversed the deal, and when I flipped over my blackjack, he goes, what? I should have received that black... And he stopped in the middle of his sentence because he was getting ready to openly admit on TV.
Was that on camera?
On camera.
Wow.
He said, I should have got that black... And that's where he stopped. Blackjack is what he was going to say because he just set it up, and I reversed it.
Oh,
so
Bobby.
Poor Bobby. I
wasn't singing that day.
Exactly, he wasn't singing. He was singing a lullaby. And so finally, how it ended is the 4 producers said over the speaker, okay, Richard, break loose. That was my cue to let him know the whole thing was a sting.
I bet he was happy when he
not yet. So my job was to turn over the ace of spades.
And 2 seconds.
And then exactly, and then just start dealing seconds, and then that's when he knew that the whole thing was a setup,
Setup.
And and then his sweat started to dissipate. He started to feel better, and he admitted that he was the butt of a very clever joke, setup, con, whatever you want to call it.
Before that, he probably thought he lost it. He's like, I thought I
He's
was.
lost it. He
I
thought-
can't card count anymore. I lost it.
I lost my ability. Exactly.
Yeah.
I lost every single hand. And so he happily shook the hand that just minutes before sat there and dealt him losers. And he said, we ought to go on tour together because he toured doing seminars on card counting. So for about a year, from 1984, my contract was up at the boat. So he said it was a year. I think it was about 8 or 9 months. We toured around the country.
Oh, you did tour with him? Is there any recordings of that?
Yeah, well, this show here, and I wish I could find them. Oh, wow. Back then, we didn't have iPhones everywhere you go.
Right.
In this particular episode, I've been trying to find this episode. And I have episodes of all kinds of shows, but I can't find this particular one. I wish I could because it was just so funny. But anyway, we toured together for about a year, and it was during that time that the gangster Mr. Diamond, who other people have heard, you've heard in other stories, started chasing me down, was when I was touring with Bobby Singer.
Poor Bobby Singer. But in the end, you guys toured, so that's actually a very happy ending.
That was a happy ending. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
In fact, he wrote some very nice stuff years past that he called me a real gentleman. He had the privilege of touring with a real gentleman, even though he was such a con man.
Yeah, was he?
I'm going to tell you another quick story.
Okay.
When we would tour, he would have these packets that you'd pay $150 for a card counting folder. Yeah. And they would be in these big cases. And he was such a con man that this is how he did it. Back then, you could book your luggage, okay? So he would book first class flights, and he would send the luggage in, and then he would cancel the flights. But the luggage would go through the flight, we'd meet it on the other end and have a tag on it. Yeah. And the people that would meet us at the other end knew that's our luggage. So he shipped all the stuff for free.
That's pretty smart.
That was
Could
almost
you still
like the
pull that
typing
off today?
scam. No way, Jose. You could not pull that off today, but he did it everywhere we went.
Yeah.
He shipped all his stuff
that's funny.
by canceling first class flights.
Shark, can you tell us about the Circus Orphan Jr.?
Oh yes, let me get a few cards here. Yeah, I met this guy when I was a young hippie who said he was an orphan.
Right.
Grew up in the circus, carnival hustlers. He was a hustler, a huckster.
Right.
And he he showed me some little inside tricks on the old con game, 3-card Monte, and this trick he did with 3 glasses. And I took that 3 glasses and I adapted it to my own little trick. And guess what there, Switch?
Yeah?
I'm gonna show you the trick.
Ooh,
okay?
Sounds fun.
And you guys can learn it too. Oh. And if you get it, it's very simple. Bet you $100.
I like it.
And it's very simple.
Yeah.
I have 3 cards mixed up. Yes.
Okay.
Hold it. Yes. You have money on you? Hold it. I have 100 right here.
I got 100 too.
Okay. Put it there. Put it there. All right.
I got 300s.
Okay. Oh, well, you can do this more than once.
All right. Yeah, I'm putting 100 down.
Put 100 down.
I'll
all right.
These over here.
And it's very simple.
Yes.
Cards mixed up. You look at my hands. Cards mixed up. Every other card mixed up.
Yep.
The idea is to get them all face down.
Okay.
Only 3 rules. Rule 1, you have to flip over 2 cards each time.
Okay.
Rule 2, you have to do it in 3 moves. Not 2, not 4. 3 moves.
2 cards at a time, 3 moves.
3 moves. Rule 3, once you start, you can't start over.
Got it.
But here's the big fat but.
Okay.
And we're not talking about cellulite but. We're talking about, I'm going to give you a chance.
Yes.
I'm going to do it for you before we begin, okay?
Okay, this sounds like I could win.
And the thing is, if you pay attention, you will win, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
Okay, so 2 cards,
Yes?
1 move, yes?
Yes. You have to do it in 3 moves.
2 cards, 2 moves, yes?
Yes.
2 cards, 3 moves. Are they all face down, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, your turn, go.
Okay.
Turn over 2 cards, go.
Done.
You got 2 down, that's move number 1.
Yes.
Okay, do it again. Move number 2, 2 cards.
Okay. Face
2
up.
cards.
I'll face up.
Switch.
What happened?
Give me the $200, please.
Wait, I thought I won.
No, they have to be all face down, not all face up.
That's attention to detail right there.
Yeah, big attention to detail.
Here, that's face down.
Are these all face down, face up, or right down?
Face down in the middle, face up on the outsides.
Okay. Tell you what.
Okay.
We'll give you. Well, you said you had 200s
I've
over
got
there?
2 more hundreds.
Put them over there. Okay.
200.
I'm gonna give you another go at it. I don't.
Okay.
You only do this to the person once.
Okay.
Okay. And once again.
Yeah.
3 rules.
Yeah.
2 cards at a time.
Uh-huh.
You have to move. You have to do it in 3 moves.
3 moves.
Once you start, you can't start over.
Right.
Okay.
And they have to all be face down.
They have to all be
Okay.
face down. Here we
That
go.
was the thing I messed
2
up.
cards, 1.
Yes.
I did. You saw me two
Yes.
cards. Move 1.
Yes.
2 cards, 2 moves. Yes.
Yes.
2 cards, 3 moves. Are they all face down? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Your turn. Go. Turn over 2 cards. Go.
Okay.
And tell me as soon as you turn over the first 2.
I'm going to turn over. Okay.
You got 2 going?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going. You have
They're
2
all
more
face
moves.
up right now.
You already screwed up again?
Well, I thought I get 3 moves.
Okay. Well, you have 2 more moves.
Okay, 2 more moves. I'll do the. Okay, I got 2 down, and my last move.
You have to do 2 cards.
I got 1 face up in the middle.
You still screwed up.
I screwed up.
Give me that $400, please.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I like my money neat. Okay, let's have this proper. Now, are you ready for me to teach this to you?
Yes.
Because, and you guys can do it out there. I've done this since I was in high school.
And they don't even have to lose $300 like I did.
Well, no, not $300. How about $500?
Oh boy.
Okay, well back then it was, 50 cents.
Yeah. Wow.
But okay, I'm just gonna put this money in my safe little pocket, where on the right side where it can't be pickpocketed by a little magician to my left.
I know a couple moves.
I know a couple moves. He
So we're
does.
learning this right now.
Okay, hand me those cards.
Okay. There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
teach
Face
it
up
to
in the
you.
middle.
Okay, turn them all face down.
Oh, all face down.
Just so I know where
There
I'm
you go.
starting. Okay, and it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what I'm doing is I'm creating an image in your mind. I'm going back and forth like this.
Yeah.
Okay. So like a Japanese fan.
Yeah.
That's the move. And as I'm telling, I'm showing them. I say I have cards mixed up, face up and face down.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I'm showing them this side. Okay, because that's the side they're going to start. And I'll say, the idea is to get them all face down.
Right.
Only 3 moves. 1, you have to flip 2 cards at a time. 2, you have to do it in 3 moves. 3, once you start, you can't start over. That's the most important rule.
Right.
Once you start, you can't start over. So I say, I'm going to give you a chance to get your money. And if you pay attention, you're going to get it, because I'm going to do it for you. And you say, are you ready?
Yeah.
And then what I do is I flip my hand back over this way, I lay them out, and as soon as I lay them out, I immediately turn over those first 2 cards, the middle one and an end one, because I don't want them to have enough time for their mind to register my orientation. So I immediately turn over, and then I stop. I say, that was 2 cards, 1 move. Now you just go as slow as you want. You say 2 cards, 2 moves, yes?
Yeah.
And you say 2 cards, 3 moves, yes?
Yes.
And now I want to blank their mind out. And I make them say, are they all face down, yes or no?
Right.
So they will say, are they all
Yes.
face down, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So I make them acknowledge I'm making their mind a blank. Okay? Okay, is there an extra card in my way there?
No.
Get that. Okay, there's 3 cards
Nice.
here. Okay, so as soon as they say yes, they are all face down, immediately I turn over the middle one, I say, your turn, go.
Right.
Turn over 2 cards. I make it a command.
Okay.
So immediately, if they start the same way, go ahead and start the same way, which is the 2 end cards.
Yeah.
As soon as they start, they can't go back.
Right.
Now they're trapped.
Yeah.
Now do the 2 end cards.
Okay.
And
Two
then
end cards?
The 2 end cards, and then in the
Okay.
center and the right one again, and they're all face up. So because I started with the opposite orientation, they will end up with everything face up.
I like this one.
And once they start, they can't go back. And the
Wait,
thing-
you could even do this with like coasters or things that aren't cards to,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
could be
Like I
anything.
said, Junior did it with three shot
Right.
glasses.
Wow.
And so I adapted with cards because I had cards on me all the time.
I like
and I've actually done this with groups of kids, and I've done it 10, 15, 20 times in a row. Literally going around letting each person take a turn, and without them catching it.
Right.
But once again, it's how you present it in their brain. Okay, first I'm gonna turn them all face down for me.
Okay, they're face down.
Okay, and so and then when I'm doing, I go like this, and then I go like this.
Yeah.
And so once again, I'm creating an image in their mind.
Yeah.
You know, face up, face down. But most of the time, I'm letting them see the orientation that they're going to start with,
Yeah.
which is this:
Right.
1 up, 2 down.
Yeah.
And I'm starting 2 down, 2 up, 1 down.
Right.
So I'm going like this, but most of the time as I'm talking,
Yeah.
then when I'm ready, that's when I flip them over, lay them out, instantly flip before they have a chance to register.
Right.
Stop.
Oh yeah,
and
they'll
say-
never catch that.
Yeah. Oh, and like I said, it's just one of those little simple
Yeah.
sucker things that I came up with as a teenager.
Yeah.
And I've had fun with it.
Yeah. I think it's very
You
fun.
should have fun with it too. You think our Shark Tale people will like it?
I think so.
Then why not?
Just don't take out the hundreds.
Do take out the hundreds.
I did.
and don't ask me to have you do it again, because I know you know how to do it, so I'm not giving you a chance to get your money back. And I do thank you, and as a courtesy, lunch is on me.
Oh, thanks. That's an
We're going to
expensive lunch.
McDonald's.
Oh boy.
Oh my! Well, today, you think $400 is going to cover McDonald's?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Well, that's all the questions I had. I learned a very expensive lesson, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and it was a pleasure doing business with you.
Yes, and the moral of the story here is never do business with a shark again.
Yes.
You'll get bit.
Once you've seen what Richard Turner does, you may never want to play cards again.
Welcome aboard the Reuben E. Lee. I'm Richard Turner. I'm the resident cheater here. I demonstrate how you're cheated at the card table. Now, say they're gonna cheat you in Las Vegas at blackjack. They don't because they don't need to. If they were gonna, this is how they do it. Note, 3 aces on the bottom.